In the next 60 minutes, is Parliament shielding its own? We'll get some answers as the House failed to approve recommendations from the Privileges Committee to either suspend or reprimand Asin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong.
There's nothing wrong with the fact that it wasn't brought up for discussion today. I'm sure if the committee and the leadership decide that this matter should be discussed tomorrow, we would discuss.
Well, the House has approved amendments to the Right to Information Bill that will defer its implementation for about a year. Also tonight, Chief Executive of Tamale Teaching Hospital reveals former Director of Pharmacy was indicted for procurement breaches identified by special audit in latest Joy News investigation.
They identified the officers and they actually realized it was through poor communication and poor records keeping, and all those were rectified and evidence shown to the board.
We'll bring you details as Joy News uncovers how the Tamale Teaching Hospital awarded a contract to supply drugs of over 200,000 cedis without due process.
You know, I'm a pharmacist. I don't award contracts. What I do is to provide technical advice. All I do as a director of pharmacy, right, is to provide technical advice.
And in business, Tali Oil to shut down its Tomenyera oil field, that is the 10 fields in the second quarter of this year. We'll tell you the implications of this move.
Later in sports, Kumasi Asante Kotoko bagged their first 3 points of the CAF Confederations Cup group stage campaign after beating Zambia's Zesco United 2-1 in Kumasi.
We have details of that and more all here on Newsnight. Stay with us. If you want to join us with your views and comments, 0244 340 437 is a WhatsApp line. And we start from Parliament tonight because the House today failed to approve recommendations from the Privileges Committee that Asin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong be suspended or reprimanded. Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak petitioned Parliament for action to be taken against Mr. Agyapong for allegedly describing the House as useless in a TV interview. Well, a charge the MP denies. Approval of the committee's report, which has been pending for about 5 months now, was due for yesterday but was moved to today. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Pokugapo was in Parliament today and witnessed the back and forth and joins us in the studio. Clarify this for us. There's information out there on social media that Mr. Agyapong has been suspended. Is that true?
No, that's not accurate. So right from July last year, the Privileges Committee's report on the Kennedy Agyapong issue, after they completed their investigations, included recommendations that they realized that he had passed comments including claims that Parliament is cheap and that Parliament is useless. And in accordance with that, the committee recommended that the House adopt its report and sanctions Kennedy Agyapong by suspending him for the rest of the session or reprimand him. So this is a recommendation that the committee had put out back in July 2018 when they completed their investigations. And so the House is supposed to debate and approve this report, and when they adopt it, that's when there may either be the adoption of the option of a suspension or a reprimand. So for now, that decision hasn't been taken yet.
I see. But something happened in Parliament today because yesterday was billed to be on the Parliament to discuss it, and it didn't happen.
Yes, so yesterday
they moved it to today.
It was on the other paper. The majority leader drew the attention of the Speaker that they wanted to go ahead with a discussion on that. The Speaker eventually, had a conversation with the MP. Some of the MPs said that this is something that came up about 7 months ago. some of them don't have copies of the report readily available. So they needed to move it to today so that they give everyone time to study. Then they would go ahead and look at it. Now, despite that directive, today, we gather that copies of it were redistributed to MPs, but it never came up for a conversation on the floor. It was listed as item motion number 6 on the other paper, which is the outline of business for the House for the day. In fact, getting to the very end of the sitting, the minority MPs, particularly the backbenchers, were repeatedly drawing the Speaker's attention. Take motion number 6, take motion number 6, but it was all ignored, and the item wasn't taken at all.
The Speaker ignored it?
Well, they weren't speaking directly into the microphone, or they didn't officially draw the attention of the House.
But the Speaker usually skipped it.
So the usually it's the majority leader who would call for business and indicate that, Speaker, I would want you to take this business, and then the Speaker goes ahead to admit it, and then they go ahead with that. But the majority leader kept skipping that particular item in particular all throughout the day. And when it was getting to the end of the sitting, and the indication was that the Speaker was about adjourning the House, then the minority MPs, particularly on the back bench, were drawing the Speaker's attention that they should look at item number 6, but the House generally didn't look at it. I had a conversation with the majority leader seeking clarity on how come the item wasn't looked at, and he indicated that it would be looked at tomorrow. They would debate and approve it tomorrow. I asked how come the situation resulted in, as in what stopped them from debating it today. Again, his response was that it will be debated and approved hopefully tomorrow. But then some other information I've gathered is that when they ran the copies, there weren't enough for MPs to have access to HSS. How come they said that once it got into their hands late, even today, despite yesterday's directive that copies made available to them, they would hope MPs would have time to study it today and debate and approve it tomorrow. Well, we've been speaking to Katie Hammond. He's the Adanse Asokwa MP. He's also lawyer for
Mr. Japan.
Mr. Japan. He sees it to be a normal situation where business of the House is outlined and then it's not taken after all.
But get this right, there's no news about it. There are many things that are programmed to be debated on the floor on a particular day. For one reason or the other, a decision is taken that we can't do this and that. Go on the other paper, see the number of items that are there and which were taken today and which were not taken. So it's a complete non sequitur. You know what I mean? You don't get it wrong. It doesn't follow. By reason of the fact that it is on the other paper, it's going to. Sometimes we put about 20 or so items. So there's no possibility, human possibility, that we could do all the items, discuss all the items. Yes, go on.
You were there with your client and guided him through the process of the Privileges Committee.
I wasn't there on the second occasion.
Okay, but you're on the first, and you remain his lawyer.
Sure.
Would it be fair for him to be suspended or be reprimanded over, the set
you're forcing me to breach a lot of the rules of the House. We don't speculate. We don't do this sort of things that you're talking about. If there's a report, it has to be laid, it has to be distributed, it has to be discussed. We haven't discussed this since. There hasn't been anything. You're asking me if it is fair to do this and that.
What's the end game in all of this?
What do you mean, what's the end game? The end game
is... So the matter is still pending.
Yeah, it is. You rightly said that the document is in Parliament. It's in Parliament. Let us read it. Let us discuss it. Let it be debated, and then we'll see the outcome. Yes, I heard what you said. You want the camera to capture what is in my hands, isn't it? Yeah, it will not.
The expectations would be that Parliament to come to a conclusion that your client did nothing wrong, and so
you've had the benefit of reading the document ahead of me, and you say that. Actually, I heard it on radio. There's speculation that it may not be speculation because you have had the benefit of reading the document that there have been prescription of the sanctions, A, B, C, D, or whatever. In the end, is that what is stated? I take it from you. I'm hearing from you. Reprimand or
suspension.
Okay, so also this what do you call it? One or the other of the two would be decided upon. And so when you say that it's anti-climax and all that, I don't quite understand. Go on. I'll come to you. Don't worry. Yeah, go on.
So for you, any of them will be fair punishment?
No, but see, that is not that. That of the two would be. I don't know what is in there. Possibly your understanding of what is prescribed by the committee might be different from my understanding of it. So I'm not going to be committed on any of your prescriptions. I'm not so sure. Let me read it and then see what it says for myself.
How is your client feeling? Even
he's not unwell.
Is he afraid?
Yes, afraid of what? You're talking about Kennedy Japan. Be careful. Afraid.
And that's Katie Hammond, as a lawyer for Assin Central MP Kennedy Japan. Let's stay in Parliament a while longer because the House took a major decision today in the process to pass the Right Information Bill. There is an amendment to the bill that was approved today that will defer its implementation for about a year. That is, even if Parliament decides to pass it, which has been on the books for more than a decade now. The House today concluded consideration of amendments to the bill. Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu argued there was no provision for the bill's implementation this year and urged government to do that in the next budget.
The Right to Information Bill comes with a huge financial outlay. It is the reason why in some jurisdictions, like Canada, when Canada passed the Act, it took 5 years for them to operate the Act. When Australia did, they gave themselves 2 years to start the operation of the bill. Speaker, recognizably, this year's budget does not make any provision for the implementation of the Act if Parliament passes it and the President assents to it. And we all do know that, as I said, it comes with huge financial implications. So I guess what we could do would be for us to say that the Act shall come into effect in the 2020 financial year. Speaker, we in Ghana, we are used to having supplementary estimates. And we will urge government that if they should come with a supplementary estimate, provisions should be made to start the implementation. We need to train information officers. We need to have information officers allocated, or in some cases even constructed. So we will urge government then that if there should be any financial, any supplementary estimate, some allocation should be made to start this in earnest, so that into the next financial year, which is 2020, we shall have a full-scale implementation of the Right to Information Bill. Mr. Speaker, so I would want to propose a further amendment that, and the title rather should read commencement instead of transitional provisions. Commencement. This Act shall come into effect in the 2020 financial year.
And for more indication, this has been approved today, and so even if and when this bill is passed by Parliament, it's going to take an additional year for it to come into force. The chairman of the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee, Ben Abdallah, is unable to tell when the bill will go through third reading and approval because there have been additional proposed amendments.
I believe this is the end. It's almost the end of the road because we are yet to go through the third reading.
Let's limit ourselves to the constitution stage. You don't have anything else.
Speaker, for now, there is nothing to be considered. But
very well. Thank you very much.
But Mr. Speaker, certain proposed amendments have been brought to the committee to be considered, and the committee is yet to meet this afternoon to consider same. So, Mr. Speaker, if the need arises, Mr. Speaker, there will be the possibility of taking this bill through the second consideration stage.
Very well. So that brings us to the end.
Now,
but for now, that brings us to the end of the consideration stage.
Let's go to Parliament now again and then do a live with Ras Mubarak. He is a MP for Kumbungu who joins us on the telephone line right now. He's also on the Parliament Communications Committee and has objections to the amendment that was approved today that will allow the law to only be implemented after a year of its passage. Let's speak to him now. Mr. Mubarak, I'm grateful for your time here on Newsnight. What's your objection?
Thank you very much, Evans. I think that this announcement of the proposed amendment to the bill, which would allow for the bill to come into effect at the beginning of next year, would come to journalists like yourself, the civil society organizations, and the Ghanaian public who are clamoring for this bill to be passed. This will come to them as a huge disappointment, and a huge disappointment to myself as well. Let me say that Parliament has demonstrated enough commitment towards, passing the bill. A lot of work has gone into it, from winnowing stage through to the stage that we are in now. But even the point has to be made that it is government that is sponsoring the bill. And as you may have heard from the floor of Parliament, when the Honourable Majority Leader got his turn to explain the need for the postponement, it is government's position, that this be, its implementation, be put off till next year. I think that it is quite unfortunate. I think that many MDAs, ministries, departments and agencies have information officers already in place, so that if Evans Mensah of Joy FM wants information from the Kumbungu District Assembly about how the MP of Kumbungu expends his common fund, we shouldn't wait for an information officer to be appointed before the media or any other Ghanaian can access this information.
From what my parliamentary correspondent tells me, this was approved by the House today. I mean, and I did not hear an objection raised by your leadership.
No, that was because there seemed to have been some consensus that indeed once it is a bill that is being sponsored by government, once it is government's position that they are not ready, to implement it, we had little option than to shepherd them and assist them to have the bill pass the way government envisages. But I'm saying that even in spite of the objection about financial constraints, ministries, departments, and agencies have budgets. In those budgets are, allocations for goods and services. In those budgets are opportunities for what in financial terms they call virement. So ministries can vie their budget to do other things that might not have been budgeted for. And I don't think the Ghanaian public who are yearning, who have clamored for, about 2 decades for this to happen, to wait another year when there's going to be a lot of attention on elections. Don't forget, next year is election year, and people may take their eyes off the ball.
But appears, Mr. Mubarak, that the horse just bolted from its stable already. There's nothing that can be done about this at this point, is there?
Well, at this point, there's absolutely nothing that can be done, and that is why I am very, disappointed that government hasn't showed commitment in responding to the needs of Ghanaians, in responding to the loud voices from, all walks of life who want information as our way of curbing corruption, as our way of fighting corruption. To indicate that Ghanaians would have to wait another year simply is not only disappointing, but an indication of government's lack of commitment to ensuring that the RTI gets passed.
I'm grateful that you joined us with those thoughts. That's Ras Mubarak. Share your thoughts on that for me if you have any thoughts. WhatsApp 0244340437. Well, the whole technical university is back in the news. Remember, just this week, we heard from the Asogli Traditional Council, and they vowed to use all means to prevent government from renaming the university after the renowned Ghanaian musicologist, late Dr. Ephraim Amu, including the use of violence there. We'll get more on that shortly. Well, tonight, the Vice-Chancellor of that same technical university is under intense pressure from some of his own faculty members over his academic qualifications and certificates. Professor Ben Kwashi Honyanuga, who was recently appointed to act as VC of the school, according to 2 lecturers, has many gaps in his qualifications as revealed in the rector's report. They have cited one of them. Dr. Aklochi tells Joy News that several petitions to the National Accreditation Board and the National Council for Tertiary Education have remained unaddressed.
We petitioned the Vice Chancellor after we detected through basic documents within the university that there were inconsistencies in the qualifications of Mr. Ben Honyenuga somewhere 10th of June 2018, and he made it to understand that as faculty members we do not have the locus to ask questions pertaining anybody's qualification within the university. Looking at the circumstances under which the man got his PhD from Open University from Helen, it will be difficult for any academic audit to establish that, because there were basic questions that we asked in our petition. When did he enroll? Because we know that 2006-2009, Rector's report talked about Mr. Honyenuga enrolling on a PhD program at KNUST in management. What became of that? Nobody is able to say. If you go to the report again, 2010 to 2013, he was sponsored under the NUFIC program to go to Maastricht School of Management for a PhD in management. But in 2014, thereabout, he brought an MPhil. What did the university do when a staff was sponsored to go in out there to bring a PhD and later came out with an MPhil?
Well, the university is responding tonight, and they have a statement out signed by Dr. Christopher Ameho, who is the registrar of the university. My colleague Ronaldo has a copy of the statement. Does the statement address a fundamental concern of the lecturers about education qualification of the VC?
Well, Evans said this statement seeks to state the schools Professor Honyenuga attended, the courses he took, and then the certificates that were awarded to him at these various schools. So it says prior to his approval, Professor Ben Kwashi served as interim Pro VC, substantive Pro VC, and acting Vice Chancellor of a school. He served as a Dean of Students of a school as well. He holds a BA Honours in degree from the KNUST, that's the Kwame University of Science and Technology, Master of Public Administration from a University of Ghana Business School. He also holds a Master of Philosophy degree in Management from the Maastricht School of Management and Doctor of Philosophy degree in Management Science from the Open University of the Netherlands. It goes on to say that he holds a certificate also in Management of Higher Education Institutions from the Galilee International Management Institute, that's in Israel, and he joined the university in December 1997 as an instructor and rose through the ranks to become the faculty member to be appointed to professional status in the university, and he no doubt holds authentic educational qualifications not only from accredited but also reputable world-class universities. That's what the statement
the suggestions in the allegations about some inquiries that had not been followed through, etc. Did the statement react to that?
Yes. So the statement said the university has on record called for a probe into the authenticity of Professor Honyenuga's doctorate.
Oh, so the universities have had reason to investigate that?
Yes, following the petition from the faculty members. And it says that they actually did some probe into the allegations made, and Dr. Richard Akblechi, who we heard from, and Dr. Cephas Borochi, a matter the National Accreditation Board, the responsible agency for authenticating qualifications, has dealt with and informed the university and the petitioners, and that was contained in a letter dated December 13, 2018 to the university and signed by the acting executive secretary of the Accreditation Board on the subject. That's Ben Kwashi, stating that it is to certify that he, the Doctor of Philosophy awarded Dr. Ben Honyenuga by Open University of the Netherlands, is comparable to a doctorate degree in relevant subject area awarded by a recognized tertiary institution in Ghana.
So fundamentally, they stand by the qualifications that he has. There are reports tonight that he has been suspended by the Education Ministry. We'll get clarity on that shortly. But the whole technical university, as I indicated earlier this week, has been in the news for a lot of controversial reasons. We know that the government had indicated that the school be renamed after Ghanaian musicologist, the late Dr. Ephraim Mamu, warlord of the Asogli state. Togbi Lakle Hawusu, the 12, argues the late statesman did not in any way contribute to the development of the university, hence it cannot be named after him. So the Asogli state is opposed to this. They addressed a press conference earlier this week.
There is a significant matter I must address, and it relates to the decision taken by the Governing Council of Ho Technical University, in accordance with the statutes of the university, to rename this institution after Ephraim Amun, the great Ghanaian cultural icon who asserted that the creative faculty should embrace also the capacity to work with one's hands. This decision is an excellent one, which has received the blessing of the President of the Republic, so that once the parliamentary process has been concluded, this university will thereafter be called the Ephraim Amu Technical University.
Well, the Asogli State, a very powerful traditional enclave in the Volta region, is opposed to that announcement you had from the president. And the Togbe Laclaire Howusu, the 12, is unhappy about the announcement by the president and has indicated that the state will deploy all means necessary to ensure that that doesn't happen. Well, my colleague in the region, Fred Kwame Asari, has been speaking to the traditional authorities there.
We want the name to remain. If there should be a change, then we need to know why the change should come. We know Dr. Ephraim Amu, a very prominent musician, a very good teacher. But if we go into the history of the Volta region, the whole Volta region, we haven't heard of his works anywhere. So if you want to give a name of a prominent person to an institution like that, he should be somebody who maybe has done something, so you can name the institution in his memory, for people to say, oh yes, this is the man, this was the man. But this man, nothing. He hasn't contributed to the Polytechnic, not even the Tenka School. He has not even contributed to the university itself. He has not contributed to the development of Ho or anything in Ho. He has not contributed to anything in the Volta region we have heard of. At least if we, say at my age, we haven't heard of anything like that, then what about the young ones behind us? You know, there's no monument we can raise for him in Ho because we haven't heard of him. We haven't seen anything. If he had even set up a school of music in the Volta region, school of music in the Polytechnic or Tenka School at that time, yes, then we can listen to, you know, if there's the need. But this one, please, we said no to the change of the name. Finito. But the way the youth are agitating, definitely it will be met with violence. That one, yes. We are peaceful people, but when we are pushed to the wall, I think we can also react. Yeah. And maybe that's the first time the whole world will hear of the people of Asogli reacting violently to an issue.
That is certainly a very serious warning there from the Asogli State. Let's speak to the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Letcher, joins us on the telephone line right now. Dr. Letcher, I'm grateful for your time here on Newsnight. I mean, Dr. Letcher, has this concern of the Asogli State come to your attention with all these threats that there might be violence if the name is not reversed from, you know, what the president has proposed, Dr. Ephraim Amu Technical University, to what it is currently?
Thank you very much, Ivan, and good evening to all your listeners. These issues have come to my attention, and I've had one or two meetings with the chiefs of Asogli, and I've also met the council chairman of the Hotenka University, and we have decided at the Volta Regional Community Council and the Regional Security Council to convene a meeting which is scheduled for next week Friday, which is will be Friday 22nd of February at 10 a.m. at the Volta Regional Community Council. Attendance will be officials from the council and RECSEC and representatives from the council of the Hotenka University and also representatives from the Asogli Traditional Council. So we're hoping that this meeting on Friday, 22nd February, will settle matters.
Okay, is the decision to name the institution after Ephraim Amu, is it, we had the president announce it, is it settled now? As far as government is concerned, is this a done deal that you're now trying to sort of, you know, consult broadly, or is something that hasn't been firmed up yet?
Thank you, Evans. As far as I know, it was a decision that was arrived at by the council of the Hotenka University and has been approved by the government because it was at the anniversary celebration. His Excellency the President of the Republic made a statement to that effect. But after that, there have been reactions from the chiefs, and it is just important that we convene a meeting to listen to their side of the story, also listen to the council, so that whatever we agree on will be conveyed to His Excellency the President.
It begs the question: what sort of consultations were done before this decision was made?
Yeah, I'm sure at the meeting on next week, all these details will be out because it was a decision by council of the Technical University, and they are the best people to inform us as to what consultations they made before coming out with the decision. We'll find out by next week, Friday.
I'm grateful that you joined us. That is the Volta Regional Minister there. And so, really, who is Ephraim Amu, Komladom?
He is a musicologist, a composer. I mean, he is popular for the Yenarai Assassini patriotic song that we sing in our schools, basic and, some other schools. And he's famous for many other songs, which I'm sure those of us who were not of age at the time he was doing music will not be familiar with. But songs such as Fare Thee Well, Israel Hene, for example, Alek Begbe is another song which is popular among the Ewe-speaking communities. Mia Danigba Lolo Vava, that one too is one song that he made, and those are some of his.
And my personal favorite, Yanum Ibirima.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure I butchered it, but I know the song. I can sing it in my head. But I'm pretty sure I butchered the name. But that's Ephraim Amu is a very famous, popular Ghanaian musician of all.
He's from the Volta region, which is the concern that some people have. That once he's from the Volta region, he grew up in Peki, was born in Peki. Good enough for him to be named after some monuments because he must have contributed a lot to the Ghanaian society as a whole, better than just the Volta region.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've heard about these patriotic songs. That's Ephraim Amu behind that, and there's a controversy surrounding his use of his name on the whole technical university. Still ahead here on News Night. We're bringing the latest Joy FM investigative piece into how hospitals are being exploited by people who seek only their self-interest. We know tonight that the chief executive of the Tamale Teaching Hospital has revealed former director of the pharmacy was indicted for procurement breaches identified by a special audit.
They identified the officers and they actually realized it was through poor communication and poor records keeping, and all those were rectified and evidence shown to the board.
We're bringing details as Joy News uncovers how the Tamale Teaching Hospital awarded a contract to supply drugs of over 200,000 cedis without due process. George, your affairs here with the very latest on the world of business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans, and it's still about the Ghana cedi that has hit 5 Ghana cedis, 30 pesos after recording some marginal stability from yesterday. And Tullow Oil to shut down its Chineboa and Nyera and Tome oil fields in the second quarter of this year. We'll tell you the implications of this move. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank. We are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Hello and welcome to the MTN Weather Report. I'm not for dry. But this year, whatever your needs are, we're there for you. Now the details of my weather report. 15,000 cities could blow from the intertropical boundaries across the country. We can also see a mist of fog patches of 25,000 cities and a heavy monetary downpour of 30,000 cities are a move to more treat the dry season across the country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, everywhere you go, whether it be school fees or acquisition fees, we're there for you. Rent advance, salary advance, your sorted advance, because with MTN, we're there for you. Now keep talking, browsing, texting, and sending Momo to accumulate points and win prizes each month to cushion you this year in the MTN More For You promo. 80 dial *120#. Now check your points. We're there for you everywhere you go.
Everybody make us see you do the dance. Do the dance.
Nothing but the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh Yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Let us help you bank with the right bank. At First National Bank, we're more than just a bank. We're a digital partner that actually understands your business. Enjoy massive value with our various banking solutions. Get a business check account, a day-to-day transactional account for all businesses from all sectors of the economy. Access our online banking enterprise and bank your way 24/7. Invest with our short or long-term options that enable immediate access to funds. Optimize your cash flow, raise capital, and acquire assets with ease with our lending solutions. Trade with speed, consistency, and innovation with our global payments and forex solutions. With so much value up for grabs, there is no reason not to bank with First National Bank. First National Bank. How can we help you?
In the second part of the Joy News expose on extortions at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, how drugs costing over 100,000 cedis are unaccounted for. Robbing the Sick 2, Thursday, 14th February on Hotline on the Super Morning Show. Hotline is brought to you by
Melco, where Ghana shops.
You're welcome back to Business on News 9. And local currency is back to recording some significant depreciation against the US dollar. Commercial banks are now offering it at 5 Ghana cedis, 30 pesos to a dollar. Now, this was after it recorded some marginal appreciation yesterday. So some of the currency dealers have told Joy Business that this is as a result of some shortfalls or limited supply of dollars on the market and high demand for the dollars by some local firms and even foreign firms operating in the country. In a related development, the Ghana Statistical Service is warning that the current challenge facing the local currency, if not dealt with, could erode the gains made so far in containing the general price levels of food and services. David Combach is acting government statistician.
Observation and when we look at what has happened in the past is that when the CD falls in value in relation to the dollar, you find that imported items seem to have their prices going up. So if it is not checked, it's likely to have an impact on the inflation rate for imported items and may even extend to locally produced items. Because some of them, the raw materials come from outside. Yeah, so if the CD falls, it's likely to have an impact.
And that's David Combach, acting government statistician. Meanwhile, the acting government statistician has also been speaking about the outlook for inflation after hitting 9% for last month, the lowest in 5 years.
The outlook will depend on many factors, and we as people who measure are usually not able to tell. If tomorrow or the next there is a policy change, for example, if the price of fuel should go up, it will have an impact possibly on the rate of inflation for following months and subsequent months. If the price should go down, it will have an impact. And many other factors affect prices. So it depends on the policies that are put in place.
David Combach is acting government statistician. Let's still stay on this subject because investment banking firm Goldman Sachs had noted that the decline in inflation makes a strong case for further cuts in the Bank of Ghana policy rate. The rate at which the central bank lends to commercial bank stands at 16% after its last review. Now, Goldman Sachs is, however, warning that things might change if the city's depreciation or the city doesn't actually stabilize firmly against the dollar, that is by next month. Oil exploration firm Tullow has announced plans to shut down operations on the Chinebwa, Ingera and Tome, that is the 10 oil fields in the second quarter of this year. Now, this was contained in the company's financials for 2018 released today. There is more in this report on the financials of Tullow as well as an investor engagement in London today.
Tallow in the statement maintained that the shutdown of the Trinidad in Iran to Mid-10 oil field is in line with its routine maintenance of the FPSO on this oil area and is expected to last for about 2 weeks. It is not clear for now how that would impact on oil production, which could affect gas supply and power production in the country. The company in the same statement disclosed that it's going to complete works on Torrid Bearing this year, which in the past years resulted in series of shutdowns over the years impacting negatively on power production. On oil production, the company said it expects the two oil fields, 10 and Jubilee, together to produce 180,000 barrels on the average. Angus Marcus is Chief Exploration Director at Tallow Oil and has been speaking on this development in London. It also announced that Tallow has been shortlisted to participate in the auction for the 4 oil blocks in the new oil areas in Ghana.
And that was a Business Desk report. In a related development, Tallow has posted a profit after tax of $85 million following an increase in oil prices as well as what it describes as cost in the way it carries out production. The development has resulted in the company resuming dividend payment to its shareholders in Ghana and around the world. Let's hear from Paul McDay, who has been speaking to investors in London today about these good earnings and what they are looking forward to.
It's quite clear that what is a normal operating range, we kind of highlight here things around $50 to $70 a barrel. We feel, we're working the company to make sure we're delivering cash flow at 50, so you'd say that's what we're focused on in the downside. We're obviously, as Les says, we're robust down to 40 in terms of break-evens, and we don't see big spikes in oil price. So I suppose our 100 million in terms of return is thinking about that range. If we're up at the upper end of that range, I'm sure myself and the board will be sitting discussing, do we stick to the minimum 100 or do we increase it? And we certainly left ourselves flexibility about how we would return capital to shareholders. We wouldn't tie our hands. So we'll see how that journey takes us, but I think the important thing is we've started it today. It's a minimum of 100, and with favourable oil prices, then maybe we can look at strengthening it.
Paul McDay is Chief Executive of Tallow Oil, speaking to investors in London today about their 2018 results. Tallow is also planning to set aside $67 million and pay out 4.8 cents to shareholders in terms of each share held. So for those in Ghana, some good news for shareholders after actually holding on this dividend payment for a long while. Because of those good profits, it's now setting out to start paying dividend to shareholders. And talking about shareholders and actually dividend, let's turn our attention to the stock market. And for Enterprise Group shareholders, each share held today was up by 3 pesos and is now worth 2 Ghana cedis, 13 pesos. Republic Bank was, however, down by 2 pesos and is now worth 60 pesos. And let's look at that. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. But good news for shareholders of Tallow Oil, looking at their sterling profits results for 2018.
Yeah, so that means that if you want to buy shares, Tallow is a very good company.
It's had its own problems, Event, but it looks like things are picking up. And also about the CD, interesting developments there, Event.
Yes. A very interesting development. We're going to have that discussion on PM Express tonight. We're going to be talking to the Mr. Stephen Opata, who's
he's head of financial markets at the Bank of Ghana.
The Bank of Ghana will join us because they are directly responsible for dealing with the CD.
And even if you engage businesses here and even the commercial banks, the argument now is that there is limited supply of dollars on the market. It's a demand and supply issue. So if you don't have the supply of dollars onto the market, then it actually, you've seen that the city is losing ground against the dollar. But the Bank of Ghana has been also off for the market for a while. Last year, they did more than $600 million onto the market to just try and stabilize things. But
I think it helped a bit.
It helped a little bit. So for now, they are not on the market. And that is why you've seen the city going down so sharply against the US dollar. But people are saying that Bank of Ghana, when should you come in? Should you come in now to hold the city from going down further, or you should also have to be strategic, because if you don't take care, these reserves could deplete badly and it could hurt the economy as well. So the Bank of Ghana is saying they want to still watch things before they come in. The businesses are saying that, listen, come in now so that things doesn't get bad before you come in to correct things.
Yeah, and we'll get some real insight into what the BOG is doing as of
planning
to do or is doing to try and fix this. Really, that's what PM Express is. We just want to get to the heart of this and avoid the issues that it's very confusing. For those I feel like I feel it in my pocket.
Evans, how is this thing going to hit you we are hoping that utility tariffs that are being reviewed, they don't factor what is happening.
It is a factor.
If it's factored, it is likely going to go up marginally.
It is a factor.
Prices of petroleum products, we import these products in. If there's an indication that I'm going to use more Ghana cedis to go for the same volume of product, I like to find a way to price that into my this thing. So it means that could also go up. Don't forget those who are also doing mortgage payments events. And for those payments that are pegged against the US dollar, if it goes up, your price or how you settle these mortgage is also going to go up. So that is how it could be impacting on you as an individual personally if things doesn't hold well, because we've become an import-led economy. Everything that we consume here is imported. Toothpick, toffees, drinks, and all those things. And if these importers don't want to be for the Christmas, they have to pass on this cost to someone.
And we'll also be having GUTA president join us. Dr. Lord Mensah, who is a lecturer. Yes, because they are directly affected by
they bring in these goods.
Exactly.
And who is going to hold it?
Dr. Lord Mensah will also join us. He's a lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, also join us. And of course, we have somebody from the Parliament Select Committee on Finance. I'm grateful, George. You want to make a date. 9 p.m. is the time. It's on Joy News. Now, Chief Executive of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. David Akolbila, says former Director of Pharmacy, Nicholas Ajimeni, was indicted for procurement breaches identified by the special audit of the department's operations. Now, Joy News reported how the Tamale Teaching Hospital awarded a contract to supply drugs of over 200,000 cedis without due process. A special audit report by the hospital revealed that there was neither an evaluation exercise or a tender committee approval of the award of the contract. A former director of pharmacy, Nicholas Ajimeni, cited in the controversy, has mounted a strong defense in the second part of our hotline documentary, Robbing the Sick. Joy News' Kwetenati takes a look at more of the irregular contracts.
In the award of contracts such as these, the following must be done. A procurement approval must be sought from the Public Procurement Authority. This is followed by an evaluation of the bids of the interested parties, and a report is submitted to the Entity Tender Committee for final approval. However, in the case of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, these were not done. In a special audit of the Pharmacy and Procurement Unit of the Tamale Teaching Hospital in 2013, the procurement records reveal there was no evidence of evaluation report and a tender committee minute for the contract awarded for the supply of drugs valued at over 200,000 cedis. What this means, according to the audit, is that there was neither evaluation exercise done nor tender committee approval for all the awards. A claim that has been challenged by the man at the center of the controversy, former Director of Pharmacy, Nicholas Ajimeni. He tells me his responsibility at the Tamale Teaching Hospital was to provide expert advice and not to award contracts.
I'm a pharmacist. I don't award contracts. What I do is to provide technical advice. Right? If you need medication, we budget, and then the budget is sent to the CEO, and then the drugs are procured for the hospital. All I do as a director of pharmacy is to provide technical advice.
According to the audit report, the examination of the award letter showed that the then director of pharmacy signed all the contract in the name of the then acting chief executive of the TTH, Dr. Prosper Akambon. It stated that the act was awfully deceitful as it was made to appear as Dr. Akambon signed the award letters, and concludes that it was administratively wrong to sign document in someone's name. But the former director of pharmacy claims proper procedures were followed. He said what accounted for the lapse is that the initial supplier failed to meet its commitment.
We have a list of suppliers in the hospital. They have for non-drugs and drugs. So this list came from the list of suppliers of medication. In the first place, we didn't have enough storage space. So it is important that we procure these things in bits so that they don't expire on us and all those things. So we went through the whole process. The request came from a unit of the pharmacy called the special pharmacy. He developed the list and brought to me. So I sent the list. I requested the chief executive for approval to procure these medications because they were important. So the chief executive approved approved. Letter is there to show that it was approved. We took quotations from these companies. They provided samples, and a date was scheduled for us to evaluate the bid.
But minutes of an audit implementation committee meeting cited by Joy News blamed the award of contract without due process on administrative lapses caused by poor communication between the then chief executive and the Department of Pharmacy. The conclusion by the board, according to the documents, was that those transactions need to be regularized and directed the former head of pharmacy to retrieve all letters he signed from suppliers for valid ones to be signed by the chief executive of the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Reporting for Joy News, Kwetenate, Tamale.
Well, the chief executive of the hospital, Dr. Kobila, dismisses the former director's claim that he didn't sign the contracts.
When the ARIC committee sat on it, they charged on the director of pharmacy at the time to go through to make sure that this was rectified. They identified the officers, and they actually realized it was through poor communication and poor records keeping, and all those were rectified and evidence shown to the board meted out to him at the time.
There was an award of contract for drugs without due process around the tune of over 200,000 by then head of pharmacy and the acting CEO then, Dr. Prosper Akambo. What's the update on that case?
Yeah, I've looked through the ARIC committee and what they did about it. They actually realized that the then CEO had traveled and he handed over to the director of pharmacy to act as chief executive. So when they were doing the procurement at the time, the director of pharmacy, signed. And then when the auditors were reviewing it, they thought the director of pharmacy shouldn't have been in a position to issue the contract, particularly in the area of drugs. There would have been something like some kind of conflict there. So they advised that all those contracts should be retrieved, reviewed, and if the CEO has come back, he should review them and see if it's appropriate, then he should sign. They were reviewed, they accepted that the only breach there was the director of pharmacy signing, so they were re-signed.
Well, we know the hospital set up a committee on the back of our first investigative piece. We can speak to the Public Relations Officer of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. Ken Osei-Mensah. Doc, thank you for your time here on Newstime. What's the update on the committee's work?
Good evening, Evans. Let me say good evening to your listeners. We realized that at the back of the first expose that was aired at part 1, we realized that Joy FM has indicated that they had more information and they wanted to put out in the public, and we wanted to make a holistic investigation into all the things that could come out of your documentary. So the committee, we did put together a team to look at the video of the first part 1. Then we realized that the part 2 is on its way. So we've indicated to the committee to hold until such a time that we have all of the information that the expose seems to bring out, and then we can decide in terms of reference of the committee very well. So we are still on bated breath waiting for Joy. But Evans, pardon me to correct something. In your introduction of this particular story, you did indicate that the chief executive officer did reveal that the director of pharmacy was indicted. I think that might not be the message he actually carried across when everybody else listened to the voice note that he just played. He did say that the board reviewed they reviewed what the special audit had come up with as far back as 2013. Let me put that across also very well. By the hospital's own internal audit, not necessarily an external auditor. And then when they realized that they thought there were some breaches, they put that in an observation. When you put certain things in an observation from an audit, it doesn't necessarily mean the people that are, or the outfit that are being talked about there have been indicted. It means that you don't understand something you realize from your audit, and you require that some responses should be provided. And to the best of my knowledge and from the documentation that is available, a lot of evidence and responses were provided for in most of these cases that were listed in the special audit report, which should necessarily not have even come out and published in the first place, because these are just observations of an audit team, and not necessarily indict the people whose names or whose outfits have been captured in there. Also, I feel that this particular story, this particular part of the documentary that is being put out there, it might be a bit misleading. Why do I say that? Because this is as far back as 2013. And if most of the things that were captured in our own special audit by the hospital were not resolved adequately and satisfactorily, it would have appeared in the Auditor General's report for that particular year. So a cursory comparison of what you see in the special audit and the Auditor General's report for that year could have told whoever is looking at this documentation that whatever observations that were observed were satisfactorily responded to. So for us as a hospital, until maybe we watch the entire documentary, for what we have seen so far in the stories that have come out of what Joy FM has been able to publish, there's actually no story here.
You said there's no story, but in the first one, you yourself spoke to us and you made admissions for which reason you believe that the committee should be set up in the first place.
Evans, we are not talking about the first part one. I've not contested the part. I'm talking about these particular audit reports that is being made look as if there is some malfeasance and procurement breaches that is going on.
But these are audit reports. We did not manufacture the audit reports.
They are not audit reports. That is the clarification I want to make. These are audit observations. There's a difference between an audit report and an audit observation.
And you say you have provided responses to these observations.
I'm saying that the personalities and the outfits that the observations captured have provided adequate and satisfactory responses and evidence.
And you say satisfactory according to yourself?
No.
Who made the judgment that this observation you provided was satisfactory?
Evans, if the responses were not satisfactory, you would find these in the audit, the external auditor's report, because the external auditors did look at our special internal audit. That's what I'm saying. This happened in 2013, and so if there were still outstanding issues to be answered by people, it wouldn't take Joy FM to come in. The Auditor General's report would have captured it. Public Accounts Committee would have asked the hospital to come and respond to some of these things.
I'm grateful. Just for the sake of time, I'm grateful that you joined us on this with the clarifications that you have. That is Dr. Ken Osei-Mensah, a Tamale Teaching Hospital Public Relations Officer. You can listen to the documentary yourself and see the details as captured in there. They themselves set up a committee in the wake of the initial one, admitting that there were serious contractual breaches and downright corruption in that, for which reason they themselves believe that a probe should be established into that. Let's do some sports now, because if you're a Kotoko fan, you'll be happy with the fact that they've made some significant inroads in the CAF Confederations Cup.
Definitely. Now, Kotoko bagged their first 3 points of the CAF Confederations Cup group stage campaign after beating Zambia's Zesco United 2-1 in Kumasi. Goals from Kwame Bonsu and Emmanuel Jemfi ensure the Porcupine Warriors blow the group wide open, with all teams locked at 3 points. My colleague Benedict Owusu-Dankwa was at the Barara Stadium and joins me on the line. Hello, Benedict. Hello. Okay, it appears we've lost Benedict on the line, but that is how that particular game did end. Kotoko winning by 2-1. Hello, Benedict.
You people, we met.
Hello, Benedict. Okay, we are having challenges establishing connection with Benedict Owusu.
Fundamentally, Kotoko won.
But the point is that Kotoko won by 2-1, and they blow the group wide open. Earlier, Nkana beat Alila by 2-1, and then also got 3 points. So as it stands, all teams in Kotoko's group are logged at 3 points. Kotoko 3, Alilao 3, Zesco 3, and of course Nkana also 3 points.
That's news there for you. I'm grateful that you joined us with the latest in sports, and that's it for News Night tonight. My name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.